Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, that's right. Welcome to the Blaster Pro Studios, where we have your host, Charles Chuck Craig Blaster Pro. Yay!
Hello, everybody. And of course, Matthew Wells.
Hi! And we have Mr. Rodney Heck.
Yeah.
And Hayden Charles Craig over at Master Control.
Were we supposed to? We never did finish the should Rodney be mic'd or not. I remember you left when we were going to do that.
I'm sorry. I there was kind of an emergency at work. I had to.
Well, he's not mic'd tonight. How you doing, sir?
I can use Matt's mic like this. Oh my!
Jesus Christ!
Tasty.
Anyway, how are you doing? You're feeling better?
I am feeling better. Either that or I just
Although you may
gave him a strep infection.
that, or you just picked something up.
Oh, well, that's
You may have caught diabetes.
diabetes.
I just came from Larry.
Jeff Hayes, Mike Rodney might be really bad idea if D&D was any indication of impulse control. Matt Myers says,
Hello, Matt.
here I am.
So, how are you doing?
I'm a lot better. I am
glad
a
to hear
lot
that.
better.
Thanks for taking me up to the store.
Of course.
It's
Of
the first
course.
time I've gotten to really ride in the truck.
Yeah.
So I hot rodded around my backyard, burning Mando night.
Burning Mando. Burning
Uh,
Mando.
Also, I have something I was going to tell you. I may have announced it, but there was nobody here at workshop last week.
Sorry. Well, my understanding is you weren't really here at workshop last week. So
Actually, you're absolutely correct. Anyway,
It was Hayden and I, all by ourselves, without supervision. It was great.
because they called me and they're like, hey, Matt. And I'm like, what?
yeah.
They're like, Chuck won't do anything without you. I'm like, I'm sick. I'm not coming to do anything.
So anyway, 18 years ago,
18 years.
I think it's about 18 years ago, I was fired from the only job I've ever been fired from. It was a bullshit firing. And I also was refused my last paycheck.
They can't do that particular
Well,
part.
they did that. Anyway,
Because that's labor laws, but that's a whole other subject.
guess what happened this week?
They wanted you back.
The very guy that did all that, the owner of that shop, is now my stallmate.
Did he give you your check?
No, but if he does ask me, I was like, yeah, you do owe me like $600.
Is that with inflation of the past 20
I do. I should put at least 3% interest on it, occurring annually, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
We can look it up.
So, anyway, we've got a lot to talk about tonight, so we're going to rip through everything.
Rip.
If you want to buy a cool Blaster Pro blaster, go to Etsy.com.
Etsy.com/shop/BlasterPro for all your blaster needs.
If you
If you actually want to see what he's got,
Yeah.
it's BlasterProShop.com.
Basically, at this point, if you want to buy an E11 or a DL18, which will be remedied by the end of the month, you go there. Even the force pikes are up on Etsy now.
Wow.
Yes.
You've been busy.
Yes, and soon to be coming will be the Blaster Pro custom blaster page, which I always wanted to do.
No shit.
Which I always wanted to do.
See, I get to find out this stuff the same time you guys do.
Which is something I always wanted to do for Mandalorians
They
because
have like little drop down menus.
Shut up, Rodney.
At this part.
I am not. I like to see things in universe, and I was never a big fan of a lot of the Mandalorian mercs running around with Nerf guns, even though they're very proud and happy with their Nerf guns. I always wanted to come up with a way to have a blaster from in the universe, but totally a custom rig. Am I? Okay, I'll check it. Anyway, so I'm going to put together for Etsy a order your own custom blaster setup.
Custom blaster.
Wow, I was down a lot too. Yeah. There you go. Is that better? All right. That's what happens when we don't do a sound
So is
check.
that going to be like a kit, or is that going to be?
No, it will come as kit. I imagine we'll do as kit or
So they can just do it as they want, or how do you want to do that?
or
That's
no, actually what I'm going to do
that's
is I'm
like
going to
that.
set greeblies out. I'm going to number all the greeblies. Okay? And then
Yeah, but how do you know how you want them on?
just listen to me.
Okay, sorry.
There is going to be, the best way I can figure it out is All the scopes are going to be numbered 1 through whatever. All the scope mounts are going to be numbered 1 through whatever. All the flash pressers are going to be numbered 1 through whatever. And then all the blaster bodies will be 1 through whatever. So you got blaster body column 1 through. So basically, you're going to get the Luger, the DL-18 base, which is that pellet gun, Mauser base. Can't remember what the other ones are. Anyway. So basically, you're going to get a choice about 4 bodies. Then you get a choice of scope mount, scope. Then you get choice
Can you take this one back because this one is defective?
What's that?
This body.
No, the warranty ran out a long time ago.
Damn it.
What does Jeff say? $924.
$924 for 18 years plus 3%.
So just shy of $1,000. Thank you, Jeff. I'll write that down and make sure I have that. Okay, so anyway, moving right along, this month's contest is going to be...
Nobody knows.
Hayden, I'm pointing at you. You got the buttons.
The contest itself is actually going to be, that's right, ladies and gentlemen,
Pole dancing.
It was loaded up.
Trivial Pursuit.
Yes, we have a few new names.
Straka says, "What's up?"
We have a few new, what is it? A few new rules that we've worked out.
Matt Meyer says, "Surprises."
As for our first playthrough, and we found some things. I have some things you're not going to like, but it's going to make your job harder, but it'll be okay.
Yay! Your job's harder.
My job's always the hard one.
We get you the colored
never here.
pencils. Just don't pay attention to the colors of the wheel.
Yeah, that's the problem.
And we'll work on that. We'll work on that.
Crayons you can
Also,
No.
the prize, we are going to have a Wheel O Blasters. And on the wheel, we're going to have the DL-18, okay, the DT-12.
Wheel of morality. Turn, turn, turn. Show us the lesson
DT-12.
that we should learn.
We will have the DL-18.
That's my favorite.
That's Matt's favorite.
That
it
is
fits in
my
his hand
favorite.
almost as good as his other sidearm.
This is my weapon. This is my gun.
And the DL-44 Hero is also going to be on the wheel. Those are the 3 blasters that are going to be on the wheel. So, yes. And this, for anybody that's upset that no one got to vote on the blasters, this was all Jeff's idea. And even Jeff was upset when he found out what blasters they were and
Which
he couldn't
Jeff?
vote.
Jeff Hayes?
Jeff Hayes.
It is Jeff Hayes' fault.
Jeff.
I mean, everything's Jeff's fault, so really.
Yeah.
No, you blame me for stuff.
All right, moving right along. Tonight we also have 2 cameras. We're running camera 1, and Matthew has camera 2. Camera 2 is going to be close-up work. No more horsing around. Camera 1. That's going to be close-up work for all the stuff I'll be doing. And starting off, we're going to be doing armor and helmet weathering tonight. And the 3, we're going to go over 3, and there's a 4th bonus at the end if we have time. First one is going to be chip away. That is a good example of chip away paint job. Is that right there? See how the paint's layered, and go around to the back there, and actually the front has some good layering. You can spin the helmet around.
Yeah, but like, I'm trying not to.
You suck at your job.
Spin the helmet.
I don't need to spin the helmet.
Okay.
Give me the guy.
Where's the spindle? Like, where's the
Oh,
lazy
it's
Susan?
over
Stop
there.
it! Stop
I
it!
will walk it around with
Nobody fucking likes you.
you.
All right.
Suck at your job.
That's chip away armor. That is this is basically the main technique you would do to get a Boba Fett style paint job on your armor and your helmet. It was a layered, chipped away style paint job. We're gonna walk through doing that style paint job. We've actually got it started right here already. I didn't get any B-roll, so instead,
What am I supposed to do? You keep going back and forth. I'm trying to make sure I get it.
You suck at your job.
since I don't have any B-roll of that, we're going to reproduce it on this Din Djarin lower gauntlet piece. We're going to reproduce it on this, but it's going to be wet and it's going to be hard. So I wanted to make sure I want to be able to put racing stripes and stuff on that. And that's what the last phase was going to be. So we're going to redo it on this one, but it's not going to be very handleable. And then we're going to do Fuller's Earth Weathering on this one. This is a good example of Fuller's Earth Weathering, my Sand Trooper helmet. And if you notice right here, one of the cool things about Fuller's Earth Weathering is it continues to change as you wear it and whatnot. So if you look right here, that clean area that goes up into here and all around there, that is actually where I would grab the helmet and take it on and off. And that kind of gives the weathering of this helmet a little more natural because it's actually weathering and adjusting to the way it's being worn and handled. So that's cool. Actually, I love that too. Look at the front there. That's one of my favorite spots too. That used to all be just like that. And from putting it in my kit and carrying it around and wearing it and doing stuff, that's what, actually right here, this is probably where I grab it to adjust it onto my head when I'm trooping. Because I do have that powder in with the ammo pack, and every once in a while you'll turn and catch that with your chin and pop your helmet up, and you got to bring it back down. The last one is a spray and buff technique. The spray and buff technique is probably the simplest technique of weathering that we're going to show off tonight. And that technique is primarily if you're doing animated clones. That's kind of the way people have been reproducing the animated clone weathering. And usually that's just done with a base white paint job on your armor, and then using some grays and maybe a little bit of black, and you mist it on, and then you'll buff it back off. And we're gonna go through that one also. And if we have time, we have a fourth. Now, all these techniques, one way or another, except for maybe the buff off technique.
I don't want to say this, but it's up there. Why not get the actual Trivial Pursuit game and bring the scoring stuff from that? Put a post it with the person's name on it in front of each scoring item.
It sounds complicated. And if we, to be honest, Jeff, if we only awarded one score per answer, we would still be playing the first game.
It would take a really long time.
So we've come up with a new way of scoring. The old way of scoring was at first it was boom, and then we realized it's going to take too long, so everyone who hit it got a point. Now we're going to be able to break up. Everyone who hits it first gets the point. Everyone who hits it second gets a partial point. Yeah, don't worry. I got it figured out. I even got your graph paper for partial pointing. Anyway, moving along. Jeff, it does not sound awful. This is a refining of the game. It makes the game work better. It's going to work great. Don't worry about it. Stop being a willy-nilly.
That sounds terrible.
Does not sound terrible. It's super easy.
You don't have to score it.
You know, I never agree with Matt, right? Ever.
Rodney, don't start then.
And I'm
Do not start. Don't start agreeing.
Which is not good.
I'm really glad I don't have to help keep score.
No, we're going to enforce you to be here as a judge. Actually, the scoring is going to be so complicated, Jeff, we may need a second scorekeeper.
At this point, yeah, I think so.
So anyway, moving on. Let's get started on weathering.
I'm sick again.
So what we're going to use on the chip away style armor, we're going to use latex as our mask. So basically, the way this is going to work is, if you've never done this before, you put down a base. This one here, we put down a metal base. And typically for this type of weathering, you would put down a metal base. Chippewa.
And really, you just want this is your base, your bottom layer where you put anything else on.
Yes. So we're going to start at metal. So we're starting at a metal finish. Now, this is what we're going to be using. Liquid latex right here. Did you hear that? It's not a good sign when it's weeping. And we've already started this process. We are on, we got a base coat on this, then we have a primer coat on this, and then we have, this would be our top color finish. Once we get this one to that point, we're going to switch to this one, and we're only using this for demonstration purposes.
In order to maintain my reputation as the most hated judge while acting as an additional scorekeeper, the partial points won't get recorded. That's my ruling as the most hated judge. Okay.
He sounds butthurt tonight.
I mean, he typically
He had a
does.
good day, actually.
Did he?
Maybe that's why he sounds buttered.
He didn't have to go back to real work. He
All right.
out at the abandoned plant.
Out at the abandoned plant. So, all right. So, I just use this is a bamboo skewer for doing kebabs.
He needs to flip over to just
Yes.
himself.
And this is just a little cup of latex. So here we go. Hayden, switch your camera too. So you want to chip away. First place you want to think about is right along edges. Then we're going to add a scratch or two.
Shouldn't he have his Bob Ross hat?
That would be the wig. Remember, we got him a wig.
Yeah, it fits on his head. It's a hat.
Still.
And then we're just going to do some general, since this is actually a fairly, not a lot going on. I almost did the top piece, so there was more detail to mess around with. So we're just going to do this. But you can do scratches like so, like I was just doing scratches. Sorry.
There you go.
And you can actually have a little puddle and just keep dragging it around.
Happy little scratches. That
Yeah.
would be our little secret.
Now, doing blast marks don't really work this well. Blast marks actually work really well when you cut them into something, or you do it with paint only if you don't want it to be like a damaging type of like a scorch. If it's a scorch marks, or if it's a you look on that one. That one has there were air bubbles in that helmet. Like I said, if you turned it around, you can see. Spin the helmet around.
Specifically right there. Oh my gosh. You're going to make me do all this work.
If you spin around, you can see there's a vibro-axe slash, but right there, that was an air bubble right on the edge. Right there, yeah. And it's chipped away and a little bit burnt on it, but I used a Dremel. So anyway, here we go. That's the first step. So Rodney, next step is you got to let this dry. So Rodney, take this. Rodney's on fan duty. He's been demoted from co-host and camera operator to
Clippy guy.
the fan guy.
Clippy guy.
So what we're going to do, the chip away paint job,
Bug.
on the chip away paint job, we're just going to keep jumping back and forth on it. And we're going to move on to getting into the Fuller's Earth. On the chip away, let me see what I said. Yeah, on chip away, we're going to be needing later on, we're going to be using some tape and some other fun stuff, some other paints. But I'm going to get this out of my way. And Fuller's
Any plans on making Rebel helmet parts?
Rebel helmet parts, such as what kind
Parts
of
we worked on like 6 years ago and are sitting over there on.
what kind of Rebel helmet parts are you talking about? Like
Those were the Seraph Rebel soldiers, though.
yeah, are we talking about like Rogue One stuff, or are we talking about
the helmet and everything?
So here is 2 packs. This is a actually I got 3 packs right here. One of them's been turned into a Dixie cup. I got black. I've got light sand, and I have medium sand. And the way you apply Fuller's Earth is, and another cool thing about Fuller's Earth is actually it's completely easy to remove. You just take warm water and a washcloth and wash the whole weathering off. But so you start with this is, like I said, this is really good for sand troopers. It's actually one of my favorite weathering tools or weathering processes. And you can actually permanently lock this down with clear coat if you really wanted to lock it down permanent. But I've never left it permanent because I like to see it evolve and move and change. My Scout Trooper is weathered the exact same way. There's nothing but it's only a Fuller's Earth weathering.
Rogue One, even like a Return of the Jedi base kit with the mock headphones.
Rogue One.
Well, the Rogue One is the Seraph Rebel sculpture that you already got the start of on.
Yeah.
But
So
the I think, is he talking about the donut?
you're talking about like Rebel troopers or Rebel pilots. So you know what I really would love to make is the Y-wing helmet from. Yeah, I know. Anyway, moving along. How you get this started? The donut. Okay.
That's what he says.
Yeah, those were all I actually have in the mix from a long, long time ago. A Endor Trooper set that I started. It's got I have the finished the wristband link.
Donuts.
I've got some of the bandolier pieces already done, especially the pieces that were the Hoth helmet communicator.
He's falling asleep.
I know. I've got that also. He'll have to get up here in a minute. Rodney, how's the drying process going?
It's under the fan.
Do you see white spots left?
You're asking the blind guy if you can see white spots.
All right, thank you. So we got our Fuller's Earth, and you're going to need a chip brush.
Maybe the front shell of the Vietnam style helmet from Rogue One.
We got that. I actually already offer 3D prints of those for $35.
Not everybody knows that, though. That's not something
I know, but
publicize.
what's his name used to eat them up. Anyway, so here's the Fuller's Earth.
All right.
Camera 2.
He's on camera, too.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was watching
Look,
him.
there he is. Oh.
Here you go. There's some Fuller's Earth right there.
But
Hayden.
What?
And I'm going to use an acid brush. Now, what I need to do is I'm going to use this Aqua Net. Remember the
hairspray.
Remember the girls?
Friggin' hairspray.
Remember the girls from junior high school? So we're going to do this lower quarter down here. All right.
Aquanet was the shit back in the day.
So now you drop it in and then dab it off and then basically just drop it on.
What he's doing is just a light dusting on the
Yeah,
whole thing.
we're just
It's
letting
not-
it.
He's obviously not putting the brush into it, or else it would stick. So just a nice light dusting across the entire.
Now I can see my Aquanet's still a little bit wet. So you can have some fun with the Aquanet and do some dabbing and kind of muddle the stuff together.
I was gonna say he keeps going to camera 1, and I don't know why.
Because he doesn't trust you.
Now that's almost dry.
I don't trust you.
So I'm going to do a little more.
As it's getting drier, obviously you can touch it with the paintbrush or with the brush without it sticking and getting everywhere.
Yes. And I think I'm going to throw. Well, did you ever see when I weathered my armor and then I got a set of used sand trooper. So somebody got a set of sand trooper shoes or stormtrooper shoes and weathered them up for a sand trooper.
Sweet. Never thought of using Aquanet fluffer. Fluffy. No, it says
Yes.
fluffer.
Anyway, yeah.
Is there an eye? Okay. That would be a great for temporary weathering.
Yes, because it will wipe right off. I'm going to do some more up here, but we're going to do, we're going to pick a different color, but I'm going to use the same brush. So I'm going to. Now, Fuller's Earth is kind of, it's actually hard to find. You know what Fuller's Earth, the main use for it is, one of the main uses is it's the base of a lot of cosmetics. Basically, it's a fine ground clay. And then for like what we're doing here, it's actually, it's actually different shades or different colorings, dyes in it. See this is a different color. This is more of a sand color. So I'm going to lock some of that down. All right, we'll go to that side and we're going to do some blast stuff. going to do some like carbon type of weathering. This is why the Scout Trooper is weathered.
Oh, that makes things so much easier.
So, anyway, getting back to my shoes. When I got my shoes from the mail, because they were already weathered for Sand Trooper, I thought, oh, cool. And they were a great deal because they were already weathered. And nobody wanted them. So I got them cheap. I got them home, and I realized they were weathered to the point where it looked like the guy had stepped in a puddle of mud. So what I ended up doing, there's several different techniques, and Fuller's Earth is kind of one of those things you just start doing and play with it and kind of learn. This stuff is, I'm not going to say expensive, but I think I paid $15 for these 3 little baggies. But these 3 little baggies have completely weathered 2 kits of armor. So down here, now this area is dry, you can start doing some washing off. Actually, it dried too fast. I mean, not dried too much. It was still a little bit wet. Sorry. But so that's actually, leaving it wet is how I started to get that muddy look. See how it's wet? I'm smearing it on.
It's a happy little tree.
Yes. And over on this side, Joe!
Rodney is rocking that helmet, chloroform, and it's looking good, Chuck, from Joe!
There you go. Look at that smear I put on that. So this is how I got the mud, mixing all 3 of these colors, starting with that lowest and working my way up to the lighter colors. That's how I got this muddy look.
That looks awesome. From Mr. Matt Meyer.
All right, so we're going to leave this. This is kind of like more of our Sand Trooper grimy right there. And the bottom, it kind of washed off. So I'm going to redo the bottom, and I'm going to do a very light dusting on the bottom. I'm going to get it wet so it'll grab real good, though. There we go. And we'll put a little on top of that.
Room smells like my ex now.
Smells like your ex-wife? Oh, there you go. Come on back to camera 1, Hayden. There you go. There's the
there's Hayden in his natural habitat.
There's Rodney wearing the Blaster Pro 3D printed helmet armor, M1 style. That was left over. That's the makeup for Halloween.
Joe says, "Hi, Rodney."
Hi, Joe.
Joe, it's funny. I was just thinking about you the other day, and I watched your Goodbye Joe video.
I keep trying to make sure he comes up on the 3rd week, so that,
Right. But anyway, now on Fuller's Earth,
I
weathering.
don't think Jess is going to let him stay more than 1 week though.
On the Fuller's Earth weathering, you can make this look like a muddy, slimy mess. You can make it look like an oily, greasy mess. This stuff really, you can smear it when it's wet. You can wait for it to dry and start working it off. But yeah, there it is. And we're going to take a break on Fuller's Earth, and we're going to come back because we're going to do some rub downs and stuff on that. We're coming back to our chip away. All right, so we've got Oops, we've got the first coat. We've got the first layer of masking off. Now, all these places that we've masked, when we go peel the masking off, it's going to peel each layer of paint that went on above it off and go straight back down to bare metal. So let's do what's called a primer coat. If you remember on Boba Fett,
As long as you don't spray on me, that's the important
he
part.
had, on Boba Fett, he had like a, what was it, like a yellowish tan under some of his, you can go back to camera one if you want.
It was like a yellow and there was a chrome.
Oh, by the way,
Brown.
what you got queued up is what we're yeah. Oh, look at the disappointment. I'm sorry, son. He has this queued up, and I decided at the last minute to go ahead and not demonstrate through a blaster. I demonstrated through a piece of armor. So, all right, I'm going to take this off to the side.
So he's just going to show it anyways, just to piss me off.
Yeah, keep it going. And I'm not going to put a lot of paint on this.
It's at the same time. He's spraying and it's spraying. It's great.
Rodney,
Yeah.
back up to the hangy.
I got a job.
There you go. All right, I just put a light coat on. Not even great coverage, but that's not what we're looking for. We're just demonstrating tonight. So this is kind of our primer coat. This is our Star Wars primer. And actually, Joe, this is one of your left behind paints. Bottom shelf in the baggie. I just pulled it out last night to do this guy. And I painted my hand. Anyway, moving on. We're going to let this dry for a second, and because we're going to be jumping back and forth because all these processes need a dry time. So right now we're on to the one process that probably doesn't need the most amount of time to do anything.
Spritz and rub.
This is the spray and buff. And this is what you would do for like clones, especially for the animated. If you do like an animated clone, this is a quick and easy weathering technique. You could use this, but I would also recommend using this weathering technique and adding a few others. And we're actually
Glad to hear I'm still helping.
Joe, you are always helping. Joe, we've never even removed you from the opening title because that's how much help you are.
That's how much we miss you.
Yeah, that and Hayden doesn't want to be on camera. Even though Hayden's in the director's seat. Oh, Joe, guess what we got? And you would have loved it, and I wish we'd done it for you, is we finally figured out how to have headphone audio, picking up our live, what's actually going on stream. And, of course, you already had the monitor, but we have a new monitor that takes in the audio also and pumps it back out into your ear hole.
Into your ear holes.
Ear holes. All right, so clone armor, animated clone armor. This is kind of the technique for doing that. And I'm just going to use some premium machinery gray from Ace Hardware because Ace is the place.
Ace is the place.
I wonder who makes this for Ace. Anyway, do you know what this is left over from? Death Star.
Oh,
This is what we use to paint the Death Star panels.
okay.
This is the last can of Death Star paint.
Sweet.
This was left behind for touch-ups and replacement panels. If we ever need to replace a panel, we got the replacement paint. So here we go. So on this is pretty much going to be a dusty dust. In a few areas are a little bit heavier, like so. There you go. There you go. See that, everybody? I know it washes out a little bit on the white, but there we go.
Sit it on here and you can actually see it a little bit better.
All right, there you go.
So what he's talking about, as you noticed before, it was, of course, nice and...
What do you got?
what the heck? Auto power off. What?
There we go.
And then now you've got a nice just dusting of stuff on.
Yes.
Hey, look, there's Hayden.
Damn it. And for this process, we're going to use...
That's awesome. Can't wait to be there. Test it out.
For this, we're going to use the trusty
Buffing pads.
red scuff pad. and back to it. So see how we're scuffing it up and bringing it up on the corners? I actually waited too long on this stuff. But anyway. There we go. We're starting to get a wear pattern here. I got to be careful because I want to push a little bit harder, but the problem is
Made this one really thin.
I made these with just 2 ounces of material. And by the way, these are the shoulder bells for the Royal Guards. They're basically modified stormtrooper shoulder bells. So here we go. We'll keep working the edges, bring up all the edges because that's the high areas where stuff's going to rub off, right? So we're just going around and adding some wear. You can look at that right there. That's looking, especially right there, that looks good. See how it's coming up? You know what I'm thinking? I should have probably used a clear coat or something over top of this because what I have on here is a primer underneath. And not really, it's an
So
epoxy.
it just immediately sucks it up?
It sucked it up, and it's not, it's a
Buffing
primer,
it
and it's not an actual finish. If it was like a gloss finish, which it should have been, I think it would have worked a lot better. But it's actually working. You can see it working.
Yeah, we can see it working.
So this is kind of how you do clones. And you can do other armors with it. To be honest, it actually works pretty good, but it takes a little bit of work. This is kind of one of those things where you want to get the look, but you don't want to pay the price. Then what do you trade it out with? Don't want to pay the price.
Effort,
Yeah.
money.
Yep. Exactly. So yeah, if you just keep rubbing on this and weathering it away, it will eventually do the job. Yeah, this thing's like Solo Cup thin.
Yeah, I know it is. I hear it popping. I'm like, oh, wow.
See, I like the way that's turning out right there.
Yeah.
It's giving a pretty good, cool look. All right. Let's check into the Fuller's Earth. All right. Fuller's Earth. See that? So there's our desert. Our desert.
Hold on 1 second.
All right, go ahead.
Tilt it down a little bit.
There's our desert weathering.
Okay.
And right here is our more desert weathering. And this was kind of more the mud or slimy, greasy. But you can go in using a rag because this stuff actually comes off pretty easy. And you can actually start moving it around when it's dry and make some pretty cool, a little bit of weather. This is how you kind of, now when you grab and touch this, it's still weathering away because this is not glue. It's just hairspray holding on. It's a light bond. It's
So
not
if you go out in the rain, you're pretty much done.
Yes. And a matter of fact, if you look at my Scout Trooper, it got caught in the rain and you can see clean spots where a drop of water and it little runs. It only seems to be on the shoulder bells and the upper chest and a little bit on the back. Now, the cool thing about this is, remember how we were talking about wear patterns? You can also do a little thing. It's kind of cool. It doesn't take very little material, but all right. I'm going to see if I can do this again. It's been a long time since I've done this, but I put a little dab on my finger Say this is a spot that I like to touch all the time. You know what I mean? Like you're working on something. Say it's something you grab and your thumb hits it all the time. You can create a extra dirty wear pattern around an area. Just like this. Put a little bit on my finger, and now my hand always hits this spot. And you make a clean spot that's also dirtied up by your dirtied up finger. You know what makes me think of this? Sometimes you'll see in cars, women do this a lot. They tend to have makeup on their fingers from getting ready in the morning, and you can see a very similar grunginess around the radio buttons. Me being in the body shop industry, we see this all the time. Yeah. Oh, by the way, Rodney, if he gets a little, we got crayons. We keep that for Rodney.
Some car grease works well too.
Yeah, Joe, but it's here's the thing: you want your kit not to destroy everything it's in the tote with. Also, this just creates a dirty spot. This works good even for like clones. See how I got like a dirty area for my fingers? Is that good enough, Rodney?
My hand's not sticking to it.
All right, cool. Now, if it gets too nasty, take a little shot of water. Because sometimes water is the only thing that's going to start breaking it down a little bit. And you want a really clean laminate, a little bit cleaner spot. This is still primer. I should have done regular paint, but I was worried about time. So, yes. But that looks pretty cool.
Just
all right.
weathering that looks like you take care of your own ship.
Yeah, there you go. You know what works good if you're weathering clothes? A good oil stain. What works good for good oil stains or oil-based paint, and actually, funnily enough, wood stain makes a really good oil stain for your clothes. All right, Rodney, hand it over. Back here to camera 2. So what we got now is we've got this whole thing in a primer base. And what we're going to add to next is, if you've ever seen, you walk down the road or you go to an old school or whatnot, and they got like guardrails, metal guardrails, and they've been painted 5 or 6 times over the last 50 years, and the paint's chipped away. And every time it's chipped away, you got some bare metal showing, and then it was painted yellow 20 years ago, and it was painted green 5 years ago, and now it's painted black. So you're showing all those layers of paint. And so what we're going to do is take our latex, and we are going to go around some of these chipped areas to add to the effect and add layering. Now you can go directly over top of the old ones because you're not going to fit it perfectly.
It's not going to help anything. But
No. What it does is, see, a lot of this is random. You want it to look random. And to be honest, the lack of control you have over this type of material adds to the randomness of it. You know what I mean? So we got some scratches here. Let's do some scratches that did not go deep enough to get through the to the metal, but it did get through the first layer of paint. All right. And then we're going to add a few random spots of light scratches or scuffs. I'm going to go right along this edge. A little chippy on the edge. And then we're going to put a couple right here. All right.
Happy tree.
It's a happy gauntlet. All right. Now, also, when people paint things traditionally, Where the surface is not prepped is where the paint is not going to stick the best. And from experience, cracks, crevices, and seam lines or body lines like this right here in this dipped area down here, those areas, hand me my Mando helmet, those areas are going to be the least likely areas to get the best scuffing. And show right here, I kind of simulated that a little bit by adding a lot of chipping along this edge right here, because this is the hardest area and where stuff will more naturally chip away. Also, the same thing goes for along here. This is a hard area to scuff and prep in between. So you're going to get a lot of chipping or peeling paint in these areas also. And there you go. This is the layered paint job, if you can see right here. Silver underneath. You got the green down here, and the green obviously went up here, and then the black was over top of the green. So you got silver, green, then black, and then you got chips. You got chipped to silver with a little bit of green here. Same thing over here, chipped all the way down, a little bit of green showing. Only green showing here, and only green showing there. So you can vary the way you do your chipping. And here's the fun thing about this. If you miss, you can go set that back over there. Gosh, making you work tonight. If you miss some of the latex, it's going to come off. It'll find its way off just through handling and whatever. So what will happen is you'll just continually wear your paint job out through the process. Now, we got this in primer up there, and the second coat of latex is on. And what we're going to do on this one real quick is, I think this needs a stripe right down through here, don't you? So we're on our last coat. Now, putting paint on, or tape on this item is going to peel off our latex. So all of our latex weathering is done. Now we're just going to put a racing stripe right along here. And maybe we'll throw some detail pieces, some kill marks or something over here. And this will be our last top coat. So here we go. I'm not even going to use the fine line. If you're going to do something like this, please use fine line tape. Fine line tape will keep the paint from leaching under, as opposed to this masking tape. What you should do is fine line tape and then mask along the fine line tape. I'm not going to use fine line tape because this stuff's expensive and this is just a demonstration. Ooh, this stuff doesn't want to stick though. There we go. There we go. Looking good. Now, funny enough, we used every one of these weathering techniques on the speeder bike, didn't we?
We did, yes.
From start to finish. Here we go. I'm not even going to do the kill marks. I think I'm just going to stick with the racing stripe.
You realize that means we have to...
What's that?
We won't be able to delaminate this thing.
Yeah, we will.
Okay. Just saying, we've got 10 minutes.
You can, if you run out of time, Rodney is here in the wings.
I think Rodney's asleep.
He is asleep, but he's still in the wings. All right, there we go. So this is going to be our final coat on this one. That's why we're... Dude, this stuff is so old. I haven't worked in a shop in over 10 years or 5 years that's used this stuff.
It looks like a present.
All right. But before we're done, we got to add some more latex. We got to break up the edges on it. We got to give it some chips, some weathering. So I'm going to dab along the edge, just randomly along the edge. And what's going to happen is there's already masking underneath this stuff. So that masking is all going to run together, and there's going to be different sets of damage going different directions for different reasons. What time you got to get up in the morning?
Me?
Yeah.
5:30.
Okay, well, I understand. If you, in 9 minutes, you need to jump out.
No, I'm fine.
Rodney will jump right in.
That means Rodney would have to be awake, though.
Rodney will be fine. All right, Rodney.
Hang it up, Rodney.
Hang it up. Let the latex, bring that one down.
There's still white on it.
I know. We're actually past that. Here, give it to me. And I will throw some paint on this just for fun.
And as you can see, it started out. It's now how that one started out.
Yep, so we've gone full circle. So now you see how we got to that point. Now we're putting the racing stripe on.
Is that code for something? Racing stripe?
No, not really. So while we're waiting, this guy right here. Ooh,
He just broke it.
wow. All right, there you go. So last week we did a cheap acrylic weathering. So
You're thinking of skid marks, Rodney. Okay, guys, have a good evening. I got to head out. Talk to you later. I love you guys.
that's Straka.
That was Joe.
Oh, Joe. Good night, Joe. Great hearing from you, sir.
And you're thinking skid marks, Rodney. I don't know.
So this guy, this poor clone, has
Fell into shit.
he's been sent to Nimbar or whatever the hell that place was, the mud planet. So I'm not using the cheap 99-cent buy $1.99 you get 20 brushes tonight. I'm using the bigger acid
I can
brush.
tell.
All right. So there we go. Now we're gonna do some fun. I'm gonna tap, tap, tappy, tap, tap, tap. You know what this kind of reminds me of?
Tie-dye.
No. When last week when the Mandalorian got all gunked up, it was a similar looking. Before he went into the living waters, he was all mucked up. Although that was more of a gray, nasty muck, so we need to add some gray, nasty muck, right? And always with the acrylic, a little shot of water, get you going.
No, you don't wipe this, and the reason you don't wipe it is obviously that you just wipe it right there.
Right now, you want to just create an inconsistent or a semi whatever pattern. You don't want to really do too much to it because we're going to come back and do something else. This is my quickie preferred $1 weathering. This costs 50 cents. This costs 50 cents. And if we add this in, this would be $1.50 weathering. But what we're going to do is we're going to let this dry. We're going to let this dry for a minute. How are we looking up on the thing up there, Rodney? Bring that down, even though it's not dry, because it's the final stage anyway, so we'll be fine. Hand it over, sir.
Hey, wow, that looks like Matt's underwear.
Is that where the skid marks were coming in at?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, give that a few minutes under the blower. We added a red racing stripe on it.
Red
for kill. We were going to add kill stripes, and we were going to cut the kill stripes out with that, but we're not going to do it. Because like I said, time's important, and see, guy here, he's falling asleep. He has fallen asleep.
He's already fallen asleep twice. Some of us have to get up in the morning.
The rub and buff or the spray and buff, I don't mind it that much. It works fine, but there's other ways of doing it. Although in the Mandalorian, it does, or not the Mandalorian, in the Clone Wars, it has a very definite look, and it has a very airbrushed on look that and then you have scratches and wear in it, and it's not like this. I don't know if you can see it. Camera 1 or camera 2 will show it a little bit better. This is a little more erratic as opposed to the way it looks on clone armor. And of course, this isn't the done product either. This is not finished. But we're going to take a rag and we're going to start buffing this piece of armor up. We're going to start rubbing this stuff off. And we're going to do our best to get as much of it off as possible. And look what we're starting to come up with. We're coming up with some pretty grungy stuff. And could you imagine if this was all down to, if this was a metal coat underneath instead of a white armor coat? So, yeah. So now I'm getting areas where it's not wanting to come off that much. So what I can do is, grab a spray bottle, moisten up my rag.
Moist.
And you see what we're starting to get. And I think this is the way you go. If you want something, you can stop when it looks like this, or you can stop when it looks like that, or like this, like totally destroyed, right? Or you can keep going. But this process, I like it because, one, it's super cheap. Two, you get to stop. There you go. Look at that. So I didn't even touch that. This is like a solo cup. This is like weathering a solo cup. Look at that guy. Now here's the Fuller's Earth.
Next time we're gonna weather a solo cup.
This is literally like weathering a solo cup. There you go. Play with that. This one actually, you want it? The acrylics are, like I said, you pick these up at Walmart. They're 59 cents now. They used to be 50 cents. You can pick up some burnt umber, pick up some territorial beige, and pick up some black. And you can do a ton of weathering right away with this. Oops. And also, something I never thought of, I never did before because I didn't want to scratch, because I weathered directly to my ABS armor and not a paint job. But you can come in and work the scuff pad on your armor. See, that's what I'm wanting right there. See how it gets all grungy right there? And you like say your thumb was always hitting that spot. So you wear it clean, but deposit all the gunk from your finger right there. And I saw someone who did, what was the guy that used to do the Rex but it was the Gen 1 Rex. Yeah. And he always grabbed his helmet and took it off right here. And he had done a Fuller's Earth weathering on it. And he had also went back and weathered the way he was taking the helmet off. And like I said, on Fuller's Earth, it has the ability to naturally weather. Yes. Rodney, hand me that down here.
Oh, God.
Thank you, sir. We're going to pull the masking off. This is super wet, so we're kind of going to destroy the paint job, but here we go. All right, so areas to start. Let's just start taking this off. So basically, all we're going to do is just rub it. Rub it to get that, to pull up some of that latex. And like I said, if you miss some of your latex,
It'll eventually pop off.
it'll eventually come off anyway. There you go. See
Think we'll
there.
break this one?
That looks good there.
He's already started cracking it.
Yeah, I started cracking it. Oh, like I said, dude, it's literally weathering a Solo cup. Hey, this stuff's $160-something a gallon. I didn't want to use I didn't want to make some premium parts.
How much is?
Although I kind of wish I'd made them a little bit thicker.
How much is a stack of Solo cups?
Huh?
He said, "How much is a stack of Solo cups?"
A lot cheaper than what this. This is probably, these three are probably what it costs to make a stack of Solo cups, or to buy a stack of Solo cups. But yeah.
So that's still really tacky.
It is still very tacky, but I'm going for it anyway. So I want to get into that. I like that scarring right through the armor and through the line. There you go. So those are prime examples of the layering, the chipped away layering. Here, this is great because you got the red stripe and you got a little bit of green underneath that there, and you got a scratch going right through there in the primer. That looks pretty cool. In this area, I totally scuffed the heck. Oh, I totally scuffed the heck out of this area.
Broken.
So this area was supposed to be kind of like, I was thinking about the way Boba Fett's armor looked in The Mandalorian when we first saw it before the repaint, and how just like sandblasted and just like, wasn't even like it sandblasted away. It's like sandblasted and chipped away. And that's what this area is kind of like. Yeah. It does take a little bit of pressure to get that,
Get that snot to start rolling.
Yeah. See, I like that too. So look at that. Looks pretty good. Let's go on up into this. See if we get a few more cool spots. There you go. That looks cool. But the best thing about it is it's a layered 3-dimensional paint job. And it looks really cool. Well, that's one beat up piece of armor.
It's got cracks in it too.
Yeah, it's got cracks in it. So, yeah, I did a 2-ounce. These are typically 6 ounces worth of material to make one shoulder bell.
That's the method I use, but I use gel toothpaste.
The toothpaste is cool. Now, we had a...
So the reason why he hasn't brought up the toothpaste is because...
We had a toothpaster.
We had a toothpaster, and it got everywhere, and Chuck hated the entire process.
Is that like meat with silicone?
Pretty much.
The problem about the toothpaste, the only problem with the toothpaste is it stays soft underneath. So that does present a little bit of a problem when you're doing a lot of going deep with layers. You have to be careful not to disturb those layers. And with the latex, and the stuff's cheap and it lasts forever.
That you can get them at most Halloween shops. Pretty much
Yes,
any
you
of
can get
the-
it in a 1 ounce bottle, and a 1 ounce bottle will last you forever.
Or you can do like we did, and you can have like a gallon sitting around here.
Yeah.
Is that what I was drinking?
God, we can only hope.
Well, we use the large bottles just because it's cheaper that way. A 1 ounce or half ounce bottle is like $6, but a pint is less than $30.
And then you can actually take and you can combine all of these together if you really wanted to get that in depth with it. Chuck's main thing is that you do want to start with a clean product and work your way up from that.
Well,
Because
yes.
starting with, because I will just start with, oh, that's good enough. And let's be honest, it's not always good enough.
Every one of these, even the chip away, which I don't. Oh, Hayden's got it, or the
Can't really get the
stuff.
hang of it unless you actually do it, though.
Yes. Don't expect. I had some hiccups tonight. Hand me that one.
You mean besides it, everything just falling apart on you?
Yeah. Besides the armor pieces falling apart, I didn't want to take a good.
I get it. We just
I was thinking, oh, I got that tie armor I can mess. I was like, no, and I was like, oh, I got the masters for the flexible stormtrooper chest armor I could use. I'm like, oh no, I shouldn't do that. And I got and I had the master for the Royal Guard backplate, and I could have used it, but just doing these cheap, flimsy. These weren't cheap, but basically all the material that was in these three right here is basically
one.
what it takes to make one of these. Each one of these is just the very first coat of material, and that's why they're so flimsy and breaking apart.
And really, it's just so that he can show you
It's
guys.
just
how
for
this is-
demonstration purposes. But if you take, like, on these, all of these you can do, maybe not this one, but
look up the Legacy armor if you want to see their backplates.
for,
Wait, Royal Guards have backplates?
yes, I got one.
Look up. It's easier to look up Legacy though if they want to really see the backplates.
Oh, well, I do have the back plates, and basically it's a tie back plate with the tie hump gone, or the stormtrooper hump gone. It's basically what it is. It's just a tie or a stormtrooper back. Actually, it's a stormtrooper back plate smoothed over to be like a tie back plate.
Ooh, excuse me.
That's what it is. It's a tie back plate is what it is. But yes, and with this, with the chip away, you can go right back in and do some of this stuff here. You can add some, dirt and grime. You can add a little bit of dirt and grime and get it kind of nasty. You can also come in and airbrush scorch marks in. You can actually take this and use the Fuller's Earth to add dirt and grime. The cool thing about Fuller's Earth is Rodney was talking about a friend of ours. They just went outside and made their own mud. They slung dirt. They took dirt and mixed it with a little bit of water and made their own mud pack that they ended up working back down and off of their armor. But Fuller's Earth is more controlled because you can pick the tones that you're using. You can go dark tones, light tones, like this is darker, this is lighter. These are all the three colors that I use on my Sand Trooper. The dark tone here, which is really, it's not black, it's really a dark brown. You can create your own powders by using charcoal, chalk. You just need a mortar and pestle and just grind that stuff up to a really fine powder.
I got some pink chalk at the house.
And you can take that into using a mortar and pestle. You can grind that down into a perfect fine powder and use the hairspray technique if you really wanted to and go permanent. You can use clear coat instead of hairspray. The cool thing about the hairspray is take a little bit of warm water and a dish rag, and it will all wash off.
Can I just stand in the shower with my armor?
Or you can be like Rodney. See, I'm wiping it off right now. Look at that. I just cleaned all that off right there. You can be like Rodney and just wear your armor in the shower. Although, Rodney, you did a combination of burnt umber, oil-based burnt umber, right?
Yeah.
And then you did also the chalk.
Yep.
Okay. He has one of the nastiest, grungiest scout troopers I've ever seen.
It looks great in the camera.
You built yours to the Mandalorian season 1 specs, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And I made sure it looked really good in the camera before I went out there. So it looks to the eye different than it does to the camera.
That is true. That is very true. The eye sees it and the camera sees it totally different. And it's a funny thing. The camera, I think, sometimes sees it better. You think it's doesn't look good, and it turns out that the camera is picking up details that the eye doesn't really catch the eye, but in the camera it pops and then the eye catches it, and it looks really good. What do you think? Fuller's Earth, how do you rate it? You like Fuller's Earth weathering?
Oh, each of them has their own place.
They all do have their own place, exactly right.
Like it all really depends on the story you want to tell.
Exactly.
And Mandos are a big storytelling. Like no matter how
this is kind of the Mando way, right?
That is the Mando.
This is the Mando way. The Mando way, you can put on a whole other paint job. Think about this, guys. You could put the paint job of the original owner or the person who passed it down. You can have that paint job underneath your paint job. And as your paint job wears off, you can see details of the other paint job. And you can create a history, not of your own character, but a history for the armor and then the history for your character. It adds an extra dimension to what you're doing. And I think that's awesome. Like, I love storytelling, and I love storytelling through props. You don't have to know a whole lot about that person, except for they've been through a lot.
And been through some shit.
Yeah. So you could have an old sigil hidden underneath. Mm. You know what I'm saying? Someone who may have been disgraced and no longer could be part of that clan. All kinds of stuff. You know, create your own rogue bounty hunter type character. He doesn't have a clan, but the old sigil is buried underneath in his armor, and it's starting to show through the wear and the beating. So yeah, you can have endless possibilities and endless ideas, but telling a story through armor and weapons and weathering is what I really truly like to do. So what do you think, Hayden? You ready for the end of the night? Matt, you ready? Matt's ready. But thank you, everyone. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I hope you guys learned something. You can put comments in the comments. We do read them, and we do read them. I get notifications, and we respond, and we'll respond to
Maybe.
I'll respond to any questions or anything you need to know, like questions about materials, techniques,
solo cups,
anything along those lines. Go ahead and make a comment. And I think besides that, I think we're done. Rodney, he's done. Good night, everybody.
Good night, Matt.